Victor Cha is a senior vice president for Asia and Korea at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Victor, thank you so much for taking out the time for us today. And of course, this is about weapons sale for North Korea, weapons restocking for Russia. The real concern is, will it stop there? What are your views?
Well, I think that's right, Sher. There are two concerns. One is that Russia really needs North Korean ammunition, 155 rounds, 122 rounds. North Korea has provided, according to the South Korean Defense Ministry, over 5 million rounds of ammunition, 10,000 shipping containers. And Putin cannot finish this war in Ukraine in his own mind without this help. In addition, there is evidence that ballistic missiles are also landing in Ukraine that are origin from North Korea. So we see for the first time in history, North Korean weapons are actually killing Europeans today.
What about this nuclear weapons technology? Do you think Putin will be desperate enough to give North Korea some kind of a nuclear weapons-related technology? Because some are saying that that would be the real gauge of how the two are really looking at this as a long-term relationship building.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know, but I think the answer to that question is how badly Putin feels he needs the ammunition from North Korea to survive and to win this war. If he loses this war in Ukraine, he's finished. And so that may lower the bar for what he's willing to give to North Korea, particularly if Kim drives a hard deal and says, I'm not giving you the ammunition unless you give me, technology for better ballistic missiles, for nuclear submarines, for advanced telemetry, for military satellites. Kim Jong-un certainly laid out those needs in a speech he gave last year, where he basically gave a shopping list of all the things that he's seeking to improve in North Korea. So the number one vendor for that will most likely be Russia, not China, Russia.
Goodness. Okay, so it sounds like potentially Christmas for both, right? And when I take a look at some of the pictures of Putin arriving in North Korea and being greeted, and the way that they're interacting with each other, I'm thinking this is like the new axis of evil, sort of, right? Updated. I need to know, though, Victor, the flow, North Korean artillery shells, ballistic missiles, etc., to Russia. If we've already seen 5,000 containers, how is it getting there? Is it by land? Is it by sea? And what sort of position does this leave the U.S. in? I mean, how are they going to stem or stop this flow? And can China, or should China be part of the answer?
Yeah, so we've actually tracked this pretty closely. And so what it does is it moves from a port in North Korea called Najin to a port in Russia called Dune. And then it moves by rail across. It moves west by rail across to the war front. Why this is a problem is that it's not easily interceptable unless you're willing to try to use military interception deep in Russian territory, which would basically be like starting a war, declaring a war against Russia. And Biden doesn't need a third war right now at this point. So it does make it very difficult to intercept. So for the United States, this is a real problem because the two are helping each other in a way that complicates U.S. strategy both in Europe as well as on the Korean Peninsula and in the Indo-Pacific more broadly. And if Putin is giving this sort of technology to Kim, then he's going to be able to target all parts of the United States in a way that would be very dangerous. This is difficult for China as well because China can't be happy with the level of cooperation between DPRK and Russia, North Korea and Russia, but they don't want to alienate the North Koreans and give Putin even more influence. So both the United States and China are in difficult positions, but they're not willing to work together on this. Particularly China is not willing to work with the United States on this.
Yeah. And China upset with this direct connection between North Korea and Russia now because it cuts them out?
Yeah, I think it cuts them out. When I was in government, we were working these negotiations. The Chinese would always tell us, we don't have a lot of influence on North Korea. That being said, they would jealously guard whatever influence they had. And so I think they're quite concerned about this visit by Putin. I'm sure it will be followed by a high-level Chinese visit to North Korea as well. And so it puts Kim in a very good position where he's kind of in between these two very important partners. And it's a great recovery for him after the failed summit in 2019 with Trump and then going into a 3.5-year COVID lockdown. So the Ukraine war is about the best thing that could have happened for Kim Jong-un.